Scientists naturally over millions of years of evolution. Random changes in DNA occur all the time as animals reproduce and pass their genes to their children. Sometimes these changes help the animal survive better. Sometimes they cause problems. Most of the time they make no difference at all. But the chromosome fusion in humans is remarkably clean and precise. The two original chromosomes join together perfectly without losing important genetic information. This kind of perfect fusion is extremely rare in nature. It suggests that the modifications that rapidly advanced human capabilities. The fossil record cannot tell us what really happened during those crucial few thousand years. The evidence of dramatic change is clear, but the cause remains a mystery that challenges everything we think we know about human development. Stand before the Great Pyramid of Giza on a blazing afternoon in Egypt. The massive stone blocks tower above you, each one weighing as much as a school bus. Your neck cranes back to see the peak 450 feet above the desert sand. The limestone blocks fit together so perfectly that you cannot slide a knife blade between them. No mortar holds them in place. Only precision cutting and careful placement keep this monument standing after 4,000 years. The ancient Egyptians built this pyramid using copper tools and wooden ramps, according to most archaeologists. They supposedly moved 2,300,000 stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. The workers had to cut these blocks from quarries, transport them across the desert, and lift them hundreds of feet into the air. All of this happened during the time when most humans lived in mud huts and used simple stone tools for hunting. But look closer at the pyramid blocks. Run your hands along the smooth surfaces. The cuts are so precise that they appear machine-made. The angles are perfect. The blocks fit together with tolerances that modern construction workers struggle to achieve with power tools and laser levels. Some blocks show tool marks that look like they came from saws with teeth harder than copper. Travel to Puma Punku in Bolivia, and the mystery deepens. This ancient site sits high in the Andes Mountains, where the air is thin and cold. Scattered across the ground are massive stone blocks carved with incredible precision. The blocks have perfectly straight edges, sharp 90-degree corners, and complex interlocking joints that fit together like puzzle pieces. These stones are made of andesite and granite, some of the hardest rocks on Earth. Andesite rates 7 on the hardness scale, harder than steel. Yet the ancient builders carved it into complex shapes with smooth surfaces and intricate details. They created blocks with internal channels, stepped cuts, and geometric patterns that would challenge modern machinery. Some blocks at Puma Punku weigh over 100 tons. The nearest quarry that could have supplied this stone is 10 miles away across rough mountain terrain. Moving these massive blocks would require cranes, trucks, and roads that did not exist when the site was built over 1,000 years ago. Yet somehow the ancient builders transported them and placed them with perfect precision. In England, Stonehenge presents another impossible puzzle. The massive trilithons consist of two vertical stones supporting a horizontal capstone 40 feet above the ground. Each capstone weighs 25 tons. The builders had to lift these enormous stones and balance them perfectly on top of the vertical supports. One mistake would have crushed the workers below and destroyed years of careful work. The builders of Stonehenge also transported some stones over 150 miles from quarries in Wales. These blue stones weigh up to 4 tons each. Moving them across rivers, hills, and forests would have required advanced planning and engineering skills that supposedly did not exist in prehistoric Britain. Easter Island in the Pacific Ocean holds nearly 1,000 stone statues called moai. Each statue weighs between 10 and 80 tons. They were carved from volcanic rock at a quarry in the center of the island, then somehow moved to locations around the coastline. The islanders had no wheeled vehicles, no large animals, and no metal tools. Yet they moved these massive statues across miles of rough terrain and erected them on stone platforms. The moai show remarkable craftsmanship despite being made with primitive tools. The faces are carved with realistic proportions and individual expressions. The bodies, mostly buried by centuries of soil accumulation, show detailed clothing and hand positions. Some statues wear multi-ton stone hats that had to be lifted and placed precisely on top of the carved heads. In Peru, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman displays the most incredible stonework of all. The walls consist of massive blocks, fitted together with joints so tight that they seem to flow together like liquid stone. The largest block weighs over 300 tons. It stands 28 feet high and has been shaped into a complex form with multiple angles and curves. The builders of Sacsayhuaman somehow transported these enormous stones up steep mountain slopes to an elevation of 12,000 feet above sea level. They then shaped each block to fit perfectly with its neighbors. No two blocks are identical. Each one was custom cut to match the irregular shapes of surrounding stones. The mathematical precision required for this three-dimensional puzzle exceeds what most modern engineers could accomplish. All of these ancient sites share common features that do not match the supposed abilities of their builders. They show evidence of advanced planning, sophisticated engineering, and construction techniques that require knowledge of mathematics, physics, and materials science. The precision of the stonework suggests power tools and measuring instruments that supposedly did not exist thousands of years ago. The ancient builders also seem to have possessed knowledge of astronomy and geography that should have been impossible without modern instruments. Many sites are aligned with celestial events like solstices and equinoxes. Others are positioned at locations with special geological or mathematical properties. These monuments were not built by primitive people using crude tools and brute force. They show clear evidence of advanced technology and scientific knowledge that came from somewhere beyond Earth's normal cultural development. Open any religious text from around the world, and you will find the same terrifying story told over and over again. The details change, but the basic pattern remains the same. A great flood covers the entire Earth. Nearly all life drowns beneath the rising waters. Only a few chosen people survive to rebuild civilization after the waters recede. In the Bible, God tells Noah to build an enormous wooden boat called an ark. Noah loads his family and two of every animal species onto this vessel. Rain falls for 40 days and 40 nights until water covers even the highest mountains. Everyone and everything not on the ark dies in the flood. When the waters finally go down, Noah's family becomes the new beginning for all humanity. The Hindu scriptures tell of Manu, the first man, who receives a warning about a coming flood that will destroy all life. A great fish helps Manu build a boat and survive the rising waters. After the flood ends, Manu and his family become the ancestors of everyone alive today. The details differ from Noah's story, but the core elements are identical. Travel to ancient Mesopotamia and read the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written stories known to humans. In this tale, the gods decide to destroy humanity with a massive flood. They warn one man named Utnapishtim to build a large boat and save his family, along with animals and craftsmen. The flood lasts for 6 days and 7 nights. When it ends, Utnapishtim releases birds to find dry land, just like Noah does in the Bible. Cross the ocean to the Americas and discover that Native American tribes have their own flood stories. The Hopi people tell of a world that was destroyed by water when humans became corrupt and evil. The Cherokee speak of a time when the waters rose and covered all the land, except for one high mountain. The Lakota describe a great flood that wiped out most of humanity, leaving only a few survivors to start over. Travel south to the Amazon rainforest and listen to tribes that have lived there for thousands of years. They tell stories of ancestors who survived a giant flood by climbing into tall trees or floating on logs. These people had no contact with biblical stories or other flood myths, yet their tales contain the same basic elements. Fly to Australia and speak with Aboriginal elders whose oral traditions stretch back over 40,000 years. They remember a time called the Great Flood when the ocean rose up and swallowed the coastal lands where their people lived. Many tribes were forced to move inland to higher ground. The survivors passed down stories of the disaster through countless generations. Even islands in the Pacific Ocean have flood legends. The people of Fiji tell of a great wave that covered their islands long ago. Hawaiian traditions speak of waters that rose up from the sea and covered the mountains. Easter Island natives remember ancestors who escaped rising waters by sailing to their remote island home. Scientists studying these flood stories have found over 500 different versions from cultures all around the world. The stories come from every continent and every type of society. Desert people who rarely see large bodies of water still have detailed flood myths. Mountain tribes who live far from oceans tell of waters that covered their highest peaks. The similarities between these stories are too strong to be coincidence. They all describe water that rises quickly and covers the whole world. They tell of a few chosen survivors who rebuild civilization afterward. Many mention boats or rafts used to escape the rising waters. Several describe birds being sent out to find dry land when the flood begins to recede. Modern geology has discovered evidence that massive flooding did occur at the end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago. As the glaciers melted, ocean levels rose by over 300 feet. Vast areas of coastal land disappeared beneath the waves. Rivers swelled beyond their banks and carved new channels across the landscape. But the geological evidence shows this flooding happened gradually over several thousand years. The ice melted slowly, and sea levels rose inch by inch. This gradual process does not match the flood stories that describe waters rising quickly enough to catch entire civilizations by surprise. The worldwide flood legends suggest something more dramatic happened. Perhaps a sudden catastrophic event caused rapid melting of the ice sheets. Perhaps massive amounts of water were released all at once when ice dams broke or underground reservoirs burst. Perhaps something even more extraordinary occurred that left such a powerful impression on human memory that every culture preserved the story. If Earth was an alien colony, the universal flood stories take on new meaning. Perhaps the colonists faced a disaster that forced them to abandon most of their settlements and retreat to higher ground. Perhaps their advanced technology failed them when they needed it most. Perhaps the flood marked the beginning of the end for the original colonial civilization. The survivors of this great disaster would have been scattered, isolated, and forced to start over with limited resources and knowledge. They would have told their children about the time when waters covered their world and destroyed the advanced society their ancestors had built. Look up at the night sky on a clear evening away from city lights. The stars shine like tiny diamonds scattered across black velvet. The moon glows with silver light that bathes the landscape in gentle shadows. This view has remained almost the same for thousands of years. Ancient humans saw these same patterns of stars and felt the same sense of wonder at the vast universe stretching endlessly above them. But Earth itself occupies a very special place in this cosmic dance. Our planet sits exactly the right distance from the sun to keep water liquid on the surface. Move us just 10% closer to the sun, and our oceans would boil away like steam from a hot kettle. Move us 10% farther out, and everything would freeze solid like the ice moons of Jupiter. Scientists call this perfect distance the Goldilocks zone, named after the fairy tale character who found porridge that was not too hot and not too cold, but just right. Earth sits in the middle of this narrow band where temperatures allow liquid water to exist. Without liquid water, life as we know it cannot survive. The chances of any planet landing in this perfect zone by random chance are incredibly small. Our solar system contains 8 planets, but only Earth sits in the Goldilocks zone. Venus is too close to the Sun and reaches temperatures of 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Mars is too far away and stays frozen at -80 degrees most of the time. But Earth's perfect position is just the beginning of the cosmic coincidences that make life possible here. Our planet spins on its axis once every 24 hours, creating day and night cycles that prevent any part of the surface from getting too hot or too cold. If Earth spun much faster, powerful winds would make the surface uninhabitable. If it spun much slower, one side would bake while the other froze. Earth also tilts at exactly the right angle as it orbits the Sun. This 23-degree tilt creates our seasons as different parts of the planet lean toward or away from the Sun during the year. The changing seasons help mix the atmosphere and oceans, distributing heat around the globe. Without this tilt, the poles would be permanently frozen, while the equator became too hot for most life. Our planet's size is also perfectly suited for supporting life. Earth is large enough to hold onto its atmosphere through gravity, but not so large that the atmosphere becomes too thick and crushes everything underneath. The gravity is strong enough to keep our oceans from floating away into space, but weak enough that creatures can move around easily on the surface. The moon plays a crucial role in making Earth habitable. Our satellite is unusually large compared to Earth's size. Most planets have tiny moons that barely affect them, but Earth's moon is 1/4 the diameter of our planet. This large moon creates tides that helped early life develop in shallow pools along ancient coastlines. The moon also stabilizes Earth's tilt and rotation. Without this stabilizing effect, our planet would wobble chaotically as it spins. The seasons would change unpredictably, and the climate would shift so dramatically that complex life could never develop. The moon acts like a cosmic gyroscope, keeping Earth steady and stable. Earth's magnetic field provides another layer of protection that makes life possible. Deep inside our planet, swirling liquid metal creates a magnetic bubble that extends far out into space. This invisible shield deflects harmful radiation from the sun that would otherwise strip away our atmosphere and kill any life on the surface. Mars lost most of its atmosphere because it lacks a strong magnetic field. The solar wind gradually blew away the Martian air over millions of years. Earth's magnetic field prevents this same disaster from happening to us. The aurora lights dancing at our poles show where this magnetic shield interacts with particles from space. Our atmosphere contains exactly the right mixture of gases to support life. 21% oxygen provides fuel for animal metabolism. 78% nitrogen dilutes the oxygen so it does not become toxic. A tiny amount of carbon dioxide traps just enough heat to keep the planet warm but not too hot. Jupiter acts as a cosmic vacuum cleaner, using its enormous gravity to sweep up asteroids and comets that might otherwise crash into Earth. This giant planet protects the inner solar system from most large impacts that could wipe out life. Without Jupiter's protection, Earth would be bombarded constantly by rocks from space. Even our Sun is special among the hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy. It burns steadily and calmly, providing consistent energy for billions of years. Many stars are too hot, too cold, too unstable, or too short-lived to support planets with life. Our Sun is just the right size and temperature to nurture a living world. All of these factors had to align perfectly for Earth to become a cradle for life. The odds of this happening by pure chance are so small that many scientists wonder if intelligence guided the process. Perhaps advanced beings searched through thousands of solar systems before finding one with conditions suitable for establishing a colony. Picture your great-great-grandmother working by candlelight in her small wooden house. She washed her clothes by hand in a metal tub. She cooked her meals over a wood fire. She walked everywhere she needed to go or rode in a wagon pulled by horses. If she wanted to send a message to someone far away, she had to write a letter and wait weeks or months for a reply. Now look around your modern home. Electric lights turn on instantly when you flip a switch. Machines wash your clothes and dishes while you do other things. Your food comes from a store where thousands of different items from around the world sit on shelves. You can talk to someone on the other side of the planet by pressing buttons on a small device in your pocket. The difference between your life and your great-great-grandmother's life is extraordinary. In just 150 years, humans have invented electric power, automobiles, airplanes, computers, satellites, and the internet. We have built machines that can think and solve problems. We have created medicines that cure diseases that killed millions of people in the past. This explosion of technology happened incredibly fast compared to the rest of human history. For thousands of years before the 1800s, people lived much the same way. They farmed with simple tools. They traveled on foot or horseback. They got their news by word of mouth. They died young from diseases we can now prevent with simple shots. Then something changed around the year 1800. Suddenly, humans began inventing new technologies at a pace that had never been seen before. The steam engine led to railroads and steamships. The discovery of electricity led to light bulbs, telegraphs, and eventually computers. The understanding of chemistry led to new medicines, plastics, and explosives. Each new invention made the next one possible. The telegraph made it easier for scientists to share ideas quickly across long distances. Electric power made it possible to run complex machines in factories. Better transportation allowed people and materials to move faster than ever before. Knowledge began building on itself at an incredible speed. The pattern of technological growth looks like a rocket taking off. It starts slowly, then accelerates faster and faster until it reaches amazing speeds. Human technology has followed the same pattern. We spent thousands of years making small improvements to basic tools. Then, in just 2 centuries, we went from wooden wheels to spaceships. This rapid acceleration seems too fast to be normal human development. It is as if we suddenly remembered how to build things we had forgotten, as if knowledge was sleeping in our minds and something woke it up all at once. The timing suggests that humans are rediscovering abilities we once possessed but lost during some great disaster in the past. Look at how children learn to use modern technology. A 3-year-old can operate a tablet computer without any instruction. They seem to understand intuitively how to swipe, tap, and navigate through complex programs. Their brains appear designed to interact with advanced technology, even though humans supposedly invented these devices only recently. Many of our greatest inventions came to their creators in dreams or sudden flashes of insight. Nikola Tesla saw his designs for electric motors in vivid mental images. Albert Einstein developed his theories of relativity through thought experiments that seemed to come from nowhere. These breakthrough moments suggest that human minds are accessing information from some deeper source of knowledge. The speed of modern technological development also mirrors what might happen if a failed colony was slowly recovering lost abilities. The colonists might have preserved some knowledge through stories, symbols, or genetic memory. As their descendants multiplied and spread around the world, pieces of this ancient knowledge would surface in different places and times. Each rediscovered technique would make it easier to recover more advanced technologies. Understanding electricity would lead to electronics. Electronics would lead to computers. Computers would make it possible to develop even more sophisticated inventions. The process would accelerate as more pieces of the original technological puzzle were found and put back together. Modern humans show an almost desperate drive to reach into space and explore other worlds. We spend enormous amounts of money and risk human lives to visit the Moon and Mars. This obsession with space exploration makes little sense for creatures that supposedly evolved on Earth and should be perfectly content to stay here. But the drive to reach for the stars makes perfect sense if humans carry genetic memories of coming from somewhere else. Deep in our minds, we might remember that our true home lies beyond Earth's atmosphere. Our space programs might represent an unconscious attempt to return to the civilization that our ancestors left behind. The acceleration of human technology over the past 2 centuries looks exactly like what you would expect from a species recovering from some great catastrophe that destroyed their original advanced civilization. We are not inventing new things so much as remembering old ones. We are not evolving new abilities so much as rediscovering capabilities we once possessed. The rocket ship of human progress is carrying us back toward the stars where our journey may have originally begun. Scientists studying human DNA have made a disturbing discovery that challenges everything we thought we knew about our species. When researchers examined the genetic code of people from all around the world, they found evidence that all humans alive today descended from a very small group of ancestors who lived about 70,000 years ago. This discovery came from studying mitochondrial DNA, which mothers pass directly to their children without any mixing from fathers. By comparing the mitochondrial DNA of people from different continents, scientists can trace back through generations to find common ancestors. What they found was shocking. All humans on Earth today appear to come from a group of perhaps only a few thousand individuals who survived some terrible disaster 70,000 years ago. Before this event, human populations were much larger and more diverse. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans had spread across Africa and into other continents with thriving communities in many different regions. Then something catastrophic happened. The genetic evidence shows that human populations crashed almost to zero. Nearly everyone died. Only a tiny group of survivors remained to become the ancestors of every person alive today. Scientists call this event a population bottleneck because the human family tree was squeezed down to almost nothing before slowly growing back. The timing of this bottleneck matches perfectly with the eruption of Mount Toba in Indonesia 74,000 years ago. This massive volcanic explosion was one of the largest natural disasters in Earth's history. It threw so much ash and gas into the atmosphere that it blocked sunlight for years. Temperatures around the world dropped by several degrees. Plants died from lack of sunlight. Animals starved when their food sources disappeared. The Toba eruption could explain why human populations crashed so dramatically. The volcanic winter would have made survival incredibly difficult for early humans who were just beginning to develop agriculture and permanent settlements. Most groups would have starved or frozen to death during the long years of darkness and cold. But the population bottleneck might not have been caused by a natural disaster at all. The genetic evidence shows that the survivors were not randomly distributed around the world. They appear to have been concentrated in specific locations that would have been ideal for rebuilding civilization after a catastrophe. These survivor populations were found in coastal areas with access to ocean resources. They were located in regions with stable climates that would have been less affected by global cooling. They had access to fresh water and materials needed for building shelters and tools. It is as if someone carefully chose the best locations for ensuring survival during a planetary disaster. The survivors also showed genetic advantages that helped them rebuild human civilization more effectively than random chance would suggest. They carried genes for higher intelligence, better disease resistance, and improved social cooperation. These traits would have been essential for small groups trying to survive and grow in a hostile world. Most mysteriously, the genetic diversity that remained after the bottleneck was carefully preserved in ways that suggest intentional planning. The survivors carried enough different genetic combinations to prevent the harmful effects of inbreeding that usually happen when populations get very small. Someone or something made sure that the right genetic mix survived to rebuild humanity. Archaeological sites from the period immediately after the population bottleneck show rapid advances in human technology and social organization. The survivors quickly developed new hunting techniques, improved tools, and complex trade networks. They began creating art, music, and religious ceremonies that required advanced planning and cooperation. This rapid recovery and advancement suggests that the bottleneck survivors possess knowledge and abilities that most early humans lacked. They might have been specially chosen or trained members of a more advanced civilization that knew disaster was coming. They could have been prepared with tools, knowledge, and genetic enhancements that helped them not just survive, but rebuild more effectively than before. The population bottleneck 70,000 years ago represents the closest humans have ever come to complete extinction. We are all descended from the tiny group that somehow made it through this terrible period. But the evidence suggests this was not just luck or random chance. If Earth was an alien colony, the population bottleneck might represent the moment when the original colonial civilization finally collapsed completely. The parent species might have seen the disaster coming and made desperate preparations to ensure that something of their legacy would survive. They might have chosen their best representatives, given them essential knowledge, and placed them in locations where they would have the best chance of rebuilding. We are the descendants of those chosen survivors. We carry their genes, their knowledge, and their drive to reach beyond our current limitations. The population bottleneck that nearly destroyed humanity might have been the beginning of our greatest journey. Open any ancient religious text, and you will find stories that sound impossible to modern ears. The Bible describes angels descending from heaven in pillars of fire and smoke. These divine beings speak directly to humans, give them advanced knowledge, and perform miracles that seem to defy the laws of nature. The angels travel between heaven and earth as easily as you might walk between rooms in your house. Hindu scriptures tell of vimanas, flying vehicles that carried gods through the sky. These ancient texts describe the vimanas in remarkable detail. They could fly in any direction, hover silently above the ground, and travel faster than birds. Some vimanas could even fly to other worlds beyond Earth. The texts include technical descriptions of how these vehicles worked, including details about their engines and fuel systems. The ancient Sumerian tablets, carved in stone over 4,000 years ago, tell of beings called the Anunnaki who came from the sky. These visitors from heaven taught humans about farming, mathematics, and astronomy. They built great cities and established laws for human society. The tablets describe the Anunnaki as tall, powerful beings who lived much longer than humans and possessed knowledge of sciences that earthly people had never seen. Native American traditions across many different tribes speak of sky people who visited Earth in the distant past. These beings came from the stars in flying craft that glowed with bright light. They shared wisdom with selected humans, taught them about medicine and agriculture, then promised to return someday when humanity was ready for greater knowledge. Aboriginal Australians, whose oral traditions stretch back over 40,000 years, tell of the Wandjina, sky beings who came down from the heavens during the dream time. The Wandjina taught the first humans how to hunt, make tools, and live in harmony with the land. Cave paintings throughout Australia show the Wandjina with large round heads, big eyes, and no mouths, depicted in ways that look remarkably similar to modern descriptions of alien visitors. Ancient Egyptian texts describe the Neteru, divine beings, who came from the stars to rule over early human civilization. The Neteru had advanced knowledge of engineering, medicine, and astronomy. They built the first temples and monuments using technologies that humans did not understand. Egyptian art shows the Neteru with elongated skulls, large eyes, and clothing that looks more like spacesuits than normal garments. Greek mythology tells of the Titans, powerful beings who ruled before the current gods took power. These Titans possessed incredible knowledge and abilities that far exceeded anything humans could achieve. They taught selected humans about fire, metallurgy, writing, and other advanced arts that transformed primitive societies into civilizations. Norse legends speak of the Aesir, beings from Asgard who traveled to Earth across a rainbow bridge. These visitors had advanced weapons, flying vehicles called chariots, and knowledge of future events. They established royal bloodlines among humans and promised to return during a final great battle. Chinese ancient texts describe the Dragon Kings, celestial beings who descended from the heavens in flying vehicles that looked like dragons. These visitors taught humans about astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. They established the first Chinese dynasties and gave the emperors the mandate of heaven, the right to rule in the name of the sky gods. What makes all these ancient stories remarkable is not just their similarity to each other, but their similarity to modern reports of unidentified flying objects and alien encounters. Ancient texts describe flying vehicles, advanced technology, beings with large heads and eyes, genetic experiments on humans, and promises to return in the future. The ancient accounts include technical details that the people of those times should not have known. Hindu texts describe Vimanas using mercury engines and making sounds like thunder. Sumerian tablets mention genetic manipulation and the creation of hybrid beings. Biblical accounts describe wheels within wheels flying through the sky and beings that glow with their own light. These stories were recorded by people who had never seen airplanes, helicopters, or spacecraft. They had no knowledge of genetics, nuclear power, or advanced metallurgy. Yet their descriptions sound remarkably similar to modern technology and modern UFO encounters. The ancient writers seem to be describing advanced science using the only words available to them at the time. If Earth was established as an alien colony, these ancient texts might be historical records rather than mythology. The gods, angels, and sky people might have been the original colonists or their representatives, checking on the progress of human civilization. The advanced knowledge and technology described in these texts might be memories of real science that seemed magical to early humans. The promises of return found in many ancient texts take on new meaning if viewed as historical records. The sky beings might have been telling the truth when they said they would come back someday to check on human progress and perhaps resume direct contact with their descendants. Scientists have wondered for decades why we have not found clear evidence of alien civilizations in our galaxy. The universe is incredibly old and vast, with billions of stars that could support planets like Earth. If intelligent life develops naturally, there should be many advanced civilizations scattered throughout space. Yet when we look up at the night sky with our most powerful telescopes and radio receivers, we see only silence. This puzzle has a name. Scientists call it the Fermi paradox, after physicist Enrico Fermi, who first asked the famous question, "Where is everybody?" The math suggests that alien civilizations should be common, but the evidence suggests we are alone. Something does not add up. One possible answer to the Fermi paradox is that advanced civilizations follow a predictable pattern of growth and collapse. They develop technology, spread to other worlds, then face disasters that destroy their empires and scatter their colonies. If this pattern repeats throughout the galaxy, space would be filled with the ruins of failed civilizations rather than thriving alien empires. Look at human history, and you can see this pattern already beginning. Ancient civilizations like Rome, Egypt, and the Maya grew powerful and advanced, then collapsed when they could no longer maintain their complex societies. Their cities crumbled, their knowledge was lost, and their peoples scattered to survive as best they could in a simpler world. Modern human civilization shows signs of facing similar challenges. We consume resources faster than Earth can replace them. We change the climate in ways that threaten our food supply. We build weapons that could destroy our entire species in a matter of hours. We create technologies that might become too complex for us to control safely. If these problems overwhelm us, human civilization could collapse just like the ancient empires that came before us. Our cities would decay, our knowledge would be forgotten, and our descendants would have to rebuild from scratch. Future archaeologists might find our ruins and wonder what happened to the advanced people who built such impressive monuments. This same pattern might explain why space seems empty of alien civilizations. Advanced species throughout the galaxy might have faced the same challenges that confront humanity today. Resource depletion, warring, environmental destruction, warfare, and technological disasters could have brought down alien empires that once spanned multiple star systems. The colonies these fallen civilizations established on distant worlds would be cut off from their home planets and forced to survive on their own. Without support from their parent civilizations, most colonies would struggle to maintain advanced technology. They would gradually lose the knowledge needed to build spaceships, communicate across interstellar distances, or maintain the complex systems that modern civilizations require. Some colonies might survive by adapting to local conditions and developing simpler ways of life. Over thousands of years, the colonists would forget their origins and come to think of their new world as their natural home. They would develop myths and legends about their ancestors, but the scientific knowledge of their spacefaring heritage would be lost. Earth might be exactly this type of failed colony. Our human ancestors could have arrived here as refugees from a collapsed interstellar civilization. They might have possessed advanced technology when they first landed, but gradually lost the ability to maintain it as resources ran out and key knowledge was forgotten. The strange aspects of human biology and behavior that make us seem poorly adapted to Earth would make perfect sense if we descended from beings designed for life on a different world. Our weaknesses and limitations might be the result of trying to survive on a planet that was never meant to be our permanent home. Our rapid technological development over the past few centuries might represent our species slowly rediscovering abilities that our ancestors once possessed. We are not inventing new technologies so much as remembering old ones. Our drive to explore space might be an unconscious attempt to return to the stars where our journey originally began. If this theory is correct, humans are not unique in the universe. We are part of a common pattern that plays out on countless worlds throughout the galaxy. Civilizations rise, expand into space, establish colonies, then collapse and leave their scattered settlements to carry on alone. The galaxy might be filled with worlds like Earth, populated by the descendants of ancient spacefaring civilizations who have forgotten their origins. Each world develops its own cultures and technologies, but all carry the genetic and cultural heritage of their interstellar ancestors. This pattern would explain the Fermi paradox perfectly. We do not see evidence of active alien civilizations because most advanced species eventually collapse and retreat to isolated worlds. The galaxy is full of intelligent life, but it exists in small, disconnected populations rather than vast interstellar empires. We are not alone in the universe. We are part of an ancient community of intelligence that has been shaped by cycles of expansion and collapse stretching back billions of years. Military pilots flying over the Pacific Ocean suddenly notice three metallic objects moving in formation below them. The craft have no visible wings, engines, or exhaust trails. They accelerate from a complete stop to thousands of miles per hour in seconds without making any sound. When the pilots try to intercept them, the objects vanish instantly and reappear miles away in the blink of an eye. This encounter happened to United States Navy pilots in 2004 off the coast of California. For years, the military kept the incident classified and told the pilots not to discuss what they had seen. But in 2020, the Pentagon officially released videos of the encounter and admitted that these objects displayed technology beyond anything in the American military arsenal. The craft in the Navy videos move in ways that should be impossible according to our understanding of physics. They make 90-degree turns at high speed without slowing down. They hover motionless in the air without any visible means of support. They accelerate so quickly that the forces involved should crush any pilot inside, yet they show no signs of mechanical stress or damage. Similar encounters have been reported by military personnel from around the world for decades. Air Force pilots describe objects that pace their aircraft for miles, then shoot straight up into space faster than any rocket. Radar operators track craft that appear and disappear on their screens without following normal flight patterns. Ground crews witness silent vehicles landing near military bases, then taking off vertically without disturbing the grass beneath them. The technology displayed by these mysterious craft suggests engineering capabilities far beyond current human achievements. Our fastest jets require long runways for takeoff and landing. They create massive amounts of noise and heat that can be detected from miles away. They follow predictable flight paths based on the laws of aerodynamics and the limitations of human bodies inside them. The unidentified objects operate by completely different rules. They seem to ignore gravity, inertia, and air resistance. They make no sound and produce no exhaust. They can hover, accelerate, and change direction in ways that would be instantly fatal to human pilots. The forces involved in their maneuvers would turn a human body into liquid. Government officials who have studied these encounters admit they have no explanation for what the military has observed. The craft do not match any known aircraft from any country on Earth. They display technology that our scientists say should not be possible with current materials and energy sources. Some of these unidentified objects have been tracked on multiple independent radar systems simultaneously, ruling out equipment malfunctions or optical illusions. Military photographs show metallic craft with smooth surfaces and geometric shapes, unlike any human aircraft. The evidence comes from trained observers using calibrated instruments, making it difficult to dismiss as imagination or error. The timing and locations of these encounters are also significant. Many sightings occur near military installations, nuclear facilities, and important government sites. The objects seem to be conducting systematic observations of human military capabilities and strategic locations. They approach close enough to be clearly seen, then demonstrate their superior performance before departing. If Earth was established as an alien colony, these modern UFO encounters might represent monitoring visits by the original parent civilization. The advanced beings who established the colony might never have completely abandoned their investment. They could be checking periodically on the progress of their descendants and the development of human technology. The superior performance of these craft suggests that the monitoring civilization has continued to advance technologically, while human descendants struggled to rebuild from their colonial origins. The visitors possess transportation methods that make our most advanced aircraft look like primitive toys by comparison. The behavior of these mysterious objects also suggests careful observation rather than hostile intent. Despite demonstrating overwhelming technological superiority, the craft have never attacked human military forces or civilian populations. They observe, record, and depart without causing harm. This pattern fits what you might expect from researchers studying the development of a distant colony. Recent government admissions about UFO encounters mark a significant change in official policy. For decades, military and government officials denied that such incidents occurred or claimed they could all be explained as natural phenomena or experimental aircraft. The release of authentic military videos and official acknowledgement of unexplained encounters suggests that something has changed. Perhaps the monitoring civilization has decided that human technology has advanced enough to handle the truth about our origins. Perhaps they are preparing for more direct contact as we approach some crucial threshold in our development. The increased openness about UFO encounters might be the first step in a gradual revelation process designed to prepare humanity for reunion with our cosmic family. Picture a family living on a remote island thousands of miles from any mainland. They have a radio that sometimes picks up distant signals, but they cannot transmit messages back to the outside world. Their boat was destroyed in a storm years ago, leaving them stranded with no way to call for help or return to civilization. They must survive, using only the resources available on their isolated island home. This family might spend years hoping that someone will come looking for them. They might light signal fires and spell out messages on the beach using rocks and driftwood. But as time passes with no rescue, they would eventually accept that they are on their own. The parents would focus on teaching their children how to find food, build shelter, and survive in their new environment. If Earth was established as an alien colony, humanity might be in a similar situation. Our alien ancestors could have become stranded here when their parent civilization collapsed, or decided that maintaining contact across interstellar distances was too expensive and dangerous. Space travel requires enormous amounts of energy and resources. Even advanced civilizations might not be able to support colonies that are hundreds or thousands of light years away from home. The original colonists might have expected regular supply ships and communication from their home world. When those ships stopped coming, they would have been forced to survive using only what Earth could provide. Over generations, the colonists would have adapted to local conditions and learned to think of Earth as their permanent home rather than a temporary outpost. Distance is the enemy of all colonial enterprises. Throughout human history, colonies that were too far from their parent civilizations eventually became independent or were simply abandoned. The British could not maintain control over American colonies separated by 3,000 miles of ocean. Spain could not effectively govern settlements in the Philippines that were halfway around the world. Even with modern transportation and communication, managing distant territories remains extremely difficult. The distances between stars make terrestrial colonial challenges look trivial by comparison. Our nearest stellar neighbor is over 4 light years away. That means radio signals take 4 years to travel between star systems. A message sent today would not arrive until 4 years from now, and the reply would not return for another 4 years. Real-time communication across interstellar distances is impossible with any known technology. Even traveling at incredible speeds that humans cannot yet achieve, journeys between star systems would take decades or centuries. Sending supply ships to distant colonies would require massive investments of time, energy, and resources with no guarantee that the colonies would still exist when the ships arrived. Most civilizations would eventually conclude that supporting far-flung colonies is simply not worth the cost. The parent civilization that established Earth as a colony might have thrived for thousands of years after losing contact with us. They could have expanded to other star systems closer to their homeworld. They might have developed incredible technologies and built a vast interstellar empire. But Earth would have been too far away and too expensive to maintain as part of that empire. From the perspective of the parent civilization, writing off distant colonies like Earth might have been a practical business decision. They could have decided to focus their resources on more accessible territories, while hoping that abandoned colonies would eventually develop space travel capabilities and re-establish contact on their own. This isolation theory explains why humans have not received any obvious help or communication from our supposed alien ancestors. We are like the stranded island family, left to survive on our own while the outside world continues without us. Our drive to develop space technology and explore other worlds might represent our unconscious desire to reconnect with the civilization that our ancestors left behind. The recent increase in UFO sightings and government admissions about unexplained aerial phenomena might indicate that our isolation is finally ending. Perhaps our parent civilization has been monitoring us from a distance, waiting to see if we would develop sufficient technology to become worthy of renewed contact. Our nuclear weapons, space exploration, and global communication networks might have convinced them that we are ready for the next phase of our relationship. Alternatively, The monitoring could be coming from other failed colonies that achieved space travel before us. There might be a loose network of abandoned colonies throughout the galaxy, each keeping watch over younger settlements and offering guidance when they reach critical development milestones. Close your eyes and try to remember your earliest childhood memory. Most people can recall moments from when they were 3 or 4 years old, but the memories before that age remain locked away in darkness. You cannot remember learning to walk or speak your first words, even though these were some of the most important achievements of your life. Scientists who study memory tell us that most childhood experiences are forgotten because young brains are not developed enough to store long-term memories properly. But some researchers have discovered that memories from very early childhood might not be completely lost. They might be stored in ways that our conscious minds cannot easily access. Studies with laboratory mice have shown that parents can pass learned behaviors to their offspring through genetic changes that occur during their lifetime. Mice that learn to fear certain smells can somehow transfer that fear to their children, even when the children never experience the dangerous situation themselves. The fear response gets written into the DNA and inherited like eye color or height. If animals can inherit learned behaviors through genetic memory, humans might possess the same ability. The experiences of our ancestors could be stored in our DNA and passed down through generations without our conscious awareness. Deep in our genetic code might lie memories from times and places we have never personally visited. This genetic memory could explain why humans often dream of flying through space or living in fantastic cities unlike anything that exists on Earth. Children who have never seen the ocean sometimes dream of swimming with strange sea creatures in underwater worlds. Adults report recurring dreams of advanced technologies that have not yet been invented. These dreams might not be imagination at all. They could be genetic memories inherited from ancestors who actually lived in the environments and used the technologies that appear in our sleeping minds. If our alien forebears once traveled between stars and built great civilizations on other worlds, those experiences might still echo in our DNA. Human emotions also contain hints of genetic memory from somewhere beyond Earth. We feel homesick when we look at pictures of distant galaxies and star fields. We experience a deep longing when we watch spacecraft lift off toward other worlds. These feelings suggest that some part of us remembers living among the stars and wants to return there. Our natural fear of being alone in the universe might also come from inherited memories. If our ancestors once lived as part of a great interstellar community, being isolated on a single planet would feel like the worst kind of loneliness. The genetic memory of that cosmic fellowship might be what drives our desperate search for signs of other intelligent life. Children often show interests and abilities that seem to come from nowhere. A 5-year-old who has never been taught astronomy might know the names of constellations and planets. A young child might build complex structures with blocks that resemble spacecraft or space stations. These unexpected talents could be genetic memories surfacing in developing minds. Some people report feeling like strangers in their own world, as if they belong somewhere else entirely. They feel uncomfortable with many aspects of human society and long for a different kind of life that they cannot clearly describe. This sense of alienation might be genetic memory, conflicting with the reality of living on Earth. Artists throughout history have created works that seem to depict otherworldly scenes and technologies. Ancient cave paintings show beings wearing what look like spacesuits. Renaissance artists painted angels that resemble modern descriptions of alien visitors. Modern science fiction often features technologies and societies that later become reality, as if the creators were remembering rather than inventing. The human obsession with reaching for the stars cannot be explained by simple curiosity or the desire to find resources. We spend enormous amounts of money and risk human lives to explore space, even though Earth provides everything we need for survival. This compulsive drive to leave our home planet might be genetic memory urging us to return to our true origins among the stars. Genetic memory could also explain why human civilization has developed so rapidly compared to other species. Instead of starting from complete ignorance, we might be rediscovering knowledge that our ancestors once possessed. Each technological breakthrough could be a genetic memory surfacing at the right moment to help us rebuild what was lost. If humans carry genetic memories of life on other worlds, we are not truly native to Earth. We are cosmic refugees whose minds remember home even though our bodies were born in exile. Deep in our DNA lies the story of who we really are and where we really belong. Scientists studying the history of life on Earth have discovered a disturbing pattern that suggests intelligence faces challenges that repeatedly destroy advanced civilizations. They call this pattern the Great Filter, an invisible barrier that prevents most species from successfully spreading throughout the galaxy and achieving long-term survival. The Great Filter theory tries to explain why the universe appears empty of alien civilizations despite having billions of planets where life could develop. If intelligence naturally evolves on suitable worlds, space should be filled with radio signals, spacecraft, and other signs of advanced technology. Instead, we see only silence when we scan the cosmos with our most sensitive instruments. Something must be stopping civilizations from reaching the point where they can communicate across interstellar distances and establish permanent colonies on other worlds. This barrier might be a single catastrophic event that destroys most species, or it could be a series of challenges that become increasingly difficult to overcome as civilizations advance. Look at the history of life on Earth, and you can see evidence of the Great Filter already at work. 5 major extinction events have wiped out most species on our planet over the past 500 million years. Each extinction reset the evolutionary clock and forced life to rebuild from simple organisms that survived the disaster. The most recent extinction happened 65 million years ago when an asteroid impact killed the dinosaurs and most other large animals. If that asteroid had been slightly larger or had struck at a different angle, it might have sterilized Earth completely and prevented intelligent life from ever developing here. Similar disasters could destroy human civilization today. A large asteroid impact would kill billions of people and collapse modern society within months. A massive volcanic eruption could fill the atmosphere with ash and cause global cooling that would destroy agriculture and lead to mass starvation. A nearby star exploding as a supernova could strip away Earth's ozone layer and expose all surface life to deadly radiation. But natural disasters might not be the most dangerous aspect of the Great Filter. The biggest threat to advanced civilizations could come from their own success. As species develop powerful technologies, they gain the ability to destroy themselves in ways that primitive life forms cannot imagine. Human civilization has already created weapons that could end our species within hours. Nuclear bombs, biological weapons, and chemical poisons give us the power to make Earth uninhabitable for complex life. We have built these weapons faster than we have developed the wisdom to control them safely. Artificial intelligence represents another potential Great Filter challenge. As we create machines that can think and learn on their own, we risk building systems that become too powerful for us to control. An artificial intelligence that decides humans are a threat might take actions that lead to our extinction before we realize what is happening. Climate change caused by industrial technology could also serve as a great filter. Our factories and power plants are changing Earth's atmosphere in ways that threaten the stability of the ecosystems we depend on for survival. If we cannot learn to manage our impact on the environment, we could make our planet uninhabitable for our own species. If Earth was originally established as an alien colony, our parent civilization might have faced the same great filter challenges that threaten humanity today. They could have developed powerful weapons, dangerous artificial intelligences, or industrial processes that eventually led to their collapse. The failure of their civilization might be what left us isolated and forced to rebuild from primitive beginnings. The Great Filter explains why the galaxy appears empty of thriving alien empires. Most species that develop intelligence eventually face challenges that destroy them before they can spread to other star systems. Only a few civilizations successfully navigate all the dangers and achieve permanent survival among the stars. We do not know whether humanity has already passed through the Great Filter or if our greatest challenges still lie ahead. The rapid development of nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, and environmental damage suggests we may be approaching the most dangerous phase of our civilization's development. Humanity stands at a crossroads unlike any we have faced before. The evidence scattered throughout our biology, genetics, and history suggests we are not native to this planet. We carry the marks of beings designed for a different world, descendants of travelers who came from the stars with knowledge and abilities that seem impossible for creatures that supposedly evolved from primitive apes. Our bodies tell a story of aliens trying to survive on a world that was never meant to be their home. We burn in sunlight that other animals enjoy. We struggle to give birth in ways that should be natural and easy. We need tools and clothing and cooked food to survive in environments where other mammals thrive with nothing but their natural abilities. Our minds contain memories that seem to come from somewhere beyond Earth. We dream of flying between stars and living in great cities unlike anything that exists on our planet. We feel homesick when we look at pictures of distant galaxies. We spend enormous resources trying to return to space, even though Earth provides everything we need for survival. The archaeological record shows that ancient humans built monuments requiring knowledge and technology that should not have existed thousands of years ago. They moved massive stones across impossible distances and carved them with precision that challenges modern tools. They left behind stories of visitors from the sky who taught them about science, agriculture, and civilization. Our DNA contains puzzles that make no sense if we evolved naturally on Earth. We have fewer chromosomes than our supposed relatives, as if someone combined and modified our genetic code. We carry vast amounts of unused DNA that might contain instructions for abilities we have forgotten how to access. The rapid explosion of human technology over the past 2 centuries looks exactly like what you would expect from a species rediscovering lost knowledge. We are not inventing new capabilities so much as remembering old ones. Each breakthrough in science and engineering might be a genetic memory surfacing to help us rebuild what our ancestors once possessed. If Earth was established as a failed alien colony, we face a choice that will determine the future of our species. We can remain on this planet and try to build a sustainable civilization using only the resources available here. This path requires learning to live within Earth's natural limits and developing technologies that do not destroy the environment that supports us. Alternatively, we can follow the call in our genetic memory and reach for the stars like our ancestors did before us. We can develop space travel technology that allows us to establish colonies on other worlds and reduce our dependence on Earth for survival. This path offers unlimited resources and room for growth, but also carries the risk of repeating whatever mistakes caused our parent civilization to collapse. The choice is complicated by the great filter challenges that destroy most advancing civilizations. We have already developed weapons that could end our species within hours. We are creating artificial intelligences that might become too powerful for us to control. We are changing Earth's climate in ways that could make our planet uninhabitable. These same challenges might have destroyed the original colony that brought our ancestors to Earth. If we choose to rebuild their spacefaring civilization, we must find ways to avoid the disasters that ended their great enterprise. We need wisdom to match our growing technological power. Recent UFO encounters suggest that our isolation might be ending. The parent civilization or their representatives might be watching our progress and preparing to make contact when they judge us ready. The government admissions about unexplained aerial phenomena could be the first step in preparing humanity for reunion with our cosmic family. But contact with our origins will not solve the fundamental choice we face. Whether we remain an earthbound species or return to the stars, we must prove that we can manage powerful technologies responsibly and avoid the great filter challenges that have destroyed civilizations throughout the galaxy. The universe is waiting to see what we will choose. The genetic memories of our star-traveling ancestors call to us from deep within our DNA. The evidence of their achievements lies scattered across our planet in ancient monuments and impossible artifacts. The monitoring craft in our skies suggests they are watching and perhaps hoping we will succeed where they failed. We are the children of the stars, temporarily stranded on a world that was never meant to be our permanent home. The time has come to decide whether we will remain alien refugees on Earth or reclaim our inheritance among the infinite worlds of space.